Welcome, everyone, to the True Stories and Trick podcast, life-changing conversations in the areas of business, technology, and belonging. My name is Brian Inuma. Our company is Strategic Systems Group. We are a Los Angeles-based IT consulting firm and experts in enterprise resource planning. I'm here today with my friends and colleagues, Manish Bhatia, President of Think AI Consulting, Eddie Bader, COO of Visa Innovators, Eric Klaus, CEO of Partner Source Solutions. And today our special guest is Veronica Place, and she is account manager and co-owner at General Networks. Veronica, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Why don't we start off with something easy? So this is generally how we start a podcast, and you can kind of pick a spot wherever you like, and maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm with General Networks. I'm Veronica Place, and General Networks is a little unique in the fact that we are an ESOP. So we're an employee-owned company. So after you've been there so many months, you're actually a co-owner. And I have been with them for a couple years now. And I partnered with them through IMACP before I came to work with them. And I did a large deal with them. It was about $350,000. And so they got to know how I handled clients. I got to know how they treated clients. And so I've been with them really off and on since. It's been years. And I love working there. Everybody knows it. I pinch myself every day that I get a chance to work with them. And we are an MSP. And people ask me like, okay, you're an MSP, what makes you different? I say integrity. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I do it on time. I do it with integrity. I do it with clarity. And so does my team. And so MSP, I don't care if it's Dynamics or if it's, Teams or infrastructure. All we have is our word, and all we have is, to do what we say we're going to do and do it well and be of service to the client. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Oh, Brian, sorry.
Okay, sorry. That's one of the parts that we'll have to edit out. All right. Let me go back a little ways and maybe just tell us briefly how you got into IT.
So in the 80s, I was fortunate enough to be one that got to connect like 5 users, and it was like a big deal. It was a network, right? Woo! And then I got married and left technology for like 20 years. So I went and did advertising and things like that. And then I came back after a divorce and worked for, you may know Justin Slagle. I worked actually with the company he worked with. He left, and I actually took part of his book of business. And so quick start. And I did that for a few years and then worked for another partner in the learning space. Then I went to work for a SharePoint partner, which I know we all know. And then I left to start my own company. And I went to North Carolina for a couple years. And I'll just tell you, this is not on the script, or you're not going to ask me, but all of you that own your own company from nuts to bolts, I just want to say, I take my hat off to you. It's amazing, because the work behind the scenes of after you make the sale, after everything's closed up, all the paperwork, all the stuff that you have to do, to make everything right. I don't want to do that. I want to be front facing. I want to love on the customers. If there's a breakdown, I want to fix it for them. If it's going great, I want to take the kudos for that. I do not want to do accounting. I do not want to do any of that. So I came back and I was with I was inside sales for a year, and then Jonathan Brown, my coworker, called one day and said, "We need you at General Networks." I said, "Oh, okay." So I started shortly after, and that's how I'm with them, and that's my IT story.
Yeah, I think Veronica, one more thing, I guess I met you like 6, 7 years back when it was SoCal North. I think Bill Hole was leading the group and we
Yeah,
met that
yeah.
time. And then after that, I think you took a short break also, right? And
I went to North Carolina.
was it IT related work that time, or that was not IT related thing?
No, it was IT related. I actually started a company that would be basically lead generation. So
Uh-huh.
kind of what I do for all of everybody now. I just don't get paid for it. If I meet someone and they're in Eric's wheelhouse, I'll be, oh my gosh, you got to speak with Eric, right? And I just put them together. I don't I don't get anything like percentage for that. The company I had, I would make sure that I got a percentage for it. I would be, somewhere in the mix. So
Mhm.
I did that for a couple years, but I also did a lot of traveling, and the traveling kind of took more front seat to actually a lot of work. So, um, and so when I came back, that's when I got into again IT. But yeah, I did start the IMACP SoCal North with Bill Hole. We
Oh,
started
yeah.
from nothing to like 50 members, and then we both left at the same time, and it's now rebuilding again.
Yeah. So I have a specific question about moving and uh, especially like once you are living someplace, and because one of our friend moved and he's having hard time new place. How was your experience personally? I'm talking when you moved to new place. Was it known to you some anxiety, or you built your network very quickly there, so that was smooth transition and you just move back to your own place? How was the move experience personally on yourself?
Yeah, so I knew one person in Southport, North Carolina, and she was a friend of mine, and she moved there a few months before, and it just sounded so great. I said, oh, I'm going to start my own company anyway, I'll just move there. So I knew only one person, and they had no Microsoft network, they had no IMACP there. So I got a hold of corporate, and I can't remember the woman I spoke with, she's not in the network anymore, but she said, oh, why don't you start
Yeah.
a network? And so I started a chapter in Raleigh with a
Mhm.
gentleman named David Poole. And so it was the very first meeting. And I was the secretary, I believe. Yeah, I was the secretary. And then we tried to get it up off the ground, but it's difficult. It's not easy. And so that's where my network was. I tried to get another chapter going at that time. But it does take, tell your friend it takes a year, maybe two. It's not something that, I've moved across country a couple times in my life, and I
Mhm.
say the 2-year mark. That's when you
Wow.
start feeling like you own it, you know where everything is, you've got some friends, you're actually living in your life, not trying to
Mhm.
build it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's what he's feeling it right away.
Yeah,
But I think that's a natural thing. So that's good.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
sure.
Thanks for your answer.
I have a question, Veronica, about college. So, did you attend college?
Yes, I went to well, right out of, I was a 3-year grad in high school, and so I wanted to go make money. I didn't want to go to high school, so I went into 2-year college at the time, and I got married, and I'll get to that. I was a secretary, um, and I worked for this company that had 3 salespeople. And again, I was very customer centric, and they knew it. So they loved me, right? They left the company. I left with them, and they taught me how to sell. So here I'm going to college, and I'm learning how to sell in a 2-year college. Well, before I knew it, I was making 6 figures, and I'm like 19 years old. And they're like, you don't need college. I'm like, I don't need college. I don't need college. Well, by the time I hit I think I was 21 when I first bought my first Corvette, and, brand new off the showroom, owned my own home. And I didn't need college. Let me tell you, if anybody, any parent, any sister, brother has a brother, sister that's gone through that, tell them to stay in college. Stay in college. Get your 4 years degree, get a master's degree, but get college, because what's happened to me now is that I've made so many changes. I got married, that didn't work out. I had to build. I cannot go to a company that requires a 4-year degree. I have as much experience and I'll outsell just about anybody, but they won't know me because I don't have a degree. So if you, I
Hmm.
mean, I might get in, but especially with now where everything is online, they don't get to talk to me, right? If they talk to me, they'll probably let me go through, but it's just paper. So yeah, tell them all to go get a college degree. I mean, really. I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
Cool. The reason, well, we kind of ask that question as part of our discussions, usually, just because it's kind of interesting to get people's perspectives on college. However, there is a young woman that's on our team. She's all of 16 years old, and she has that decision to make about whether to go to work or to go to school, or maybe in her case, she has an interest in being an entrepreneur. So, if you were to speak to this young woman and to provide her a little bit of advice at this stage of her life, what would you tell her?
I would say follow your dream. If you want to be an entrepreneur, do that. And then still go get college, go get a 4-year degree. Like you can do it all. There's nothing saying you got to do one or another or half of one and half another. Go do it all. There's plenty of time. If we love what we do, there's plenty of time to do that. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Those are really good answers.
That's all I know. If that was one regret I have in my life is not to get a 4-year degree. I have a 2-year degree, but yeah, so it's just a door opener.
So, Veronica, I know that you're engaged with an organization that focuses on leadership, and that's something that's been near and dear to your heart for a long time. I was wondering if you could talk to us about that and talk about what your kind of leadership journey through that has been and what you learned about yourself in that process.
I don't know, it might take more than an hour. I'm kidding. So to go back, the leadership that I take on is Landmark Worldwide. And oh, it's probably been 6 or 7 years now. I moved back. Well, I went through a divorce and I couldn't get it going. So my son's all like, "Mom, you need to look into this course." The company I work for is making me take this class, and so I said, "Okay." So I went and I looked at it and I couldn't run to the registration table fast enough because I was this, and you all know me, but I was this woman that was a victim. Poor me, poor me. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to have a life. Like, poor me. So my son wouldn't even take my phone calls anymore because it was just poor me. And he was sick of it. And so he's all, "You got to take this class." So I did. And I've been doing these courses ever since. But what I've gotten out of it is that now I'm at a space that I actually give to others. I get, but I actually give to others. So I'm now in a spot now where I coach individuals if they have community projects. You all know that I shaved my head for St. Baldrick's. That was my community project that started about 6 or 7 years ago. And you all may know Court Baker from General Networks, but he took it on this year with me because of my project way back when. We raised $50,000 this year. Actually, he did. I was part of that group. And so, but years ago, I said to him, I want to raise $100,000 for St. Baldrick's. And so he, this last time said, can you like put that on your line? And, I said, no, it just in my mind, I want to make sure like I have $100,000 raised. So anyway, as far as Landmark, what I've gotten out of it is just listening skills. I was just on another call talking to someone about the voices in our head. You might think I'm crazy. You might edit this part out, but we all have that doubt sometimes, especially if we're all up to big things. It might be a huge meeting with somebody, that being insecure. It might be with your wife or a partner, something that they might say no to, but we all have this running thing in our head. And I have tools, or I have distinctions now that I can actually move that aside and do what I like. Even doing this podcast, 3 years ago, I would have just said no, because I would have been too nervous, too scared, too something. But I'm with all of you. It's not about me, and it's who's listening. It's not about me. And so that's what I've gotten out of this work. And doing that, I don't care if you're at the grocery store. I don't care if you're buying a car. I don't care if you're talking to your family. You just be with that person, and you get so much juice out of the conversation that you just leave inspired. They leave inspired. And really, I do a possibility every morning, and it starts with contribution. And years ago, it used to be, I'll give you my money. I'll be a contribution by giving you money. I don't have that much money. I don't know who's going to listen to this. I don't really care. I had a downfall with money. I'm building again because of my divorce and things that happen. So all I have now is myself and my time. And, that's been more fruitful than any money that I could possibly give somebody for a loan or whatever it happens to be. And I'm being authentic in this. I really want people to know that if they could just actually give of themselves and be in the moment with whoever they're speaking to, they'll just get so much out of their life. So this work that I'm in, I probably put in 20, 30 hours a week, helping others with their projects, getting whatever they want out of their life. So that's what I do in my spare time. But it also, doing that, I get a lot out of it too, just so that's what I do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And you give from the heart, which is amazing and always welcome, no matter where it is. One of the things that you and I have talked about is on this leadership journey that you're taking. There are reflection points, right? And so you asked me to give you kind of a candid review of your strengths and weaknesses. And it was interesting. Are you okay if we kind of talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Because and I want to focus on the constructive feedback that we discussed, because when I told you, you already knew it, right? And so, and when the thing I said to you was that confidence is an issue that you need to work with, right? Says, I know you can do it, but sometimes I don't think you know you can do it. And you already knew that, right? And you knew you were working on it. And I was wondering, can you kind of talk about that, what that feels like from you personally, and how it might have been crippling before, but how you are like working through that and trying to get better, and kind of realizing who you can be through kind of addressing these issues head on?
I would love to. Because it's going to be a breakthrough for me in this. So, um, it's, timing is just impeccable, Eddie, timing, because, I had one of those interviews today, and the same thing was all the same. Every interview I have is the same. And in the interview, I ask people that know me, maybe don't know me as well, something like, what does everybody know about me? Or, what is something I need to work on? And confidence is what's come up. So I have that thing in your head and what I'm talking about. We all have something that we need breakthroughs in. And that is, for me, my confidence, because I have a side of me. I call her my little girl. She's my little girl. She's always scared. I say yes to a lot of things, and then I'm scared all the time. So what I do is I just acknowledge her and say, yeah, you're scared. Okay, move aside. Veronica's going to show up. Badass Veronica's going to show up, like, and I push her aside all the time. But that is running. It's always running. And I get coached on that. I can't believe I'm telling you all this stuff. But I have a coach. And she, I on Zoom or on Teams, I'll be wearing lipstick, and now my hair is short, so it's and she goes, just tell her to move aside, put your lipstick on, and be your badass self, But it's a constant, and it's a struggle. It's something that um it's the past somewhere. You know what I mean? It's something, but I know, because of what I'm up to and the things I'm doing, one day you'll say to me, you broke through, Veronica, and it's coming. I mean, that's why I'm so thrilled that you talked to me, because it's so close. I'm so close, because even the past president of San Diego, Reza, he said, you're transforming, you're changing, like, you're actually speaking more, and you're doing, and it's this work. And I want to, because I have so much I want to do. And it's not from being, what's the word? Where you're all boasting and all that. It's
Arrogant or
arrogance. It's
yeah.
not from arrogance that I want that for myself. I want it for others, because if when you have more confidence, you can actually flow freely through things, instead of, should I, or am I saying it right? Am I doing right? You can actually communicate and flow through things easier. And then it allows other people, the people that you're communicating to flow back easier. So I can't wait. I mean, I'm really close, but I'm not there yet. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you something else in kind of
Okay.
that same light. But Superman has his kryptonite, right? The thing that weakens him. So I want to know, what's Veronica's anti-kryptonite? What gives you strength? Where do you draw your power? Where do you draw your motivation to self-improve and to lift up others? And you do a lot of work in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. So I kind of want to hear all about why that's so important to you. And then again, where do you draw your power, and how do you recharge your batteries to give all that you give on a daily basis?
Contribution. I mean, it's every moment is contribution. Sales is contribution, building a company is contribution, going and helping the homeless is contribution. Seeing a sister of 6 years for the first time, seeing a sister in 6 years for the first time, after calling her twice a week and her hanging up the phone and not even knowing why. Okay, so that's contribution. Finally having a breakthrough in family is contribution. Like, it's all about over there. That's what gets me up in the morning. I want to make this world a better place. I want to make, when I speak to a client, that, when they get done knowing me, that they know that they have a company that's going to take care of them, and they're in a better place every day. Um, The IMACP, I want to make that a better place. I want to make DE&I, we've talked about that. Like my downturn 3 years ago, some of the things, the unconscious bias that I had are totally ridiculous. Like I want everybody on the planet to have whatever they want in their life. And if I can meet them and talk to them, and I'm not going to change their life in 5 minutes, but if I could just make that time frame better for them, if we all did that, there'd be no war. There would be no fighting. We'd just all be on projects helping each other. And so that's what gets me up in the morning, because the self that I am, Eddie, wants to stay in bed. I don't want to do this. I mean, honestly, the first thing, but I build a possibility and then I live into that possibility. And that's every day. And I love my life because of that. And I think I was built to be a giver, but I would say, and I really want to give a shout out to my company, General Networks, because they allow me to be who I am. That's why they hired me. They didn't hire me for my technical ability. They hired me because of my communication skills, what I bring to the team, what I bring to the client. And that's freeing too, that you can actually be your authentic self coming in to work every day. So.
And you often talk about Jeff Baker, who's the VP or their director, and he was integral in bringing you on. And there's, we're not going to give numbers, but there's a decent range between your age groups right there, right? And you've talked about that difference and what it meant for somebody his age to look at you and find value in you. And I was wondering, can you talk about that? Because when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's not just Black, white, Hispanic, male, female, neurodiverse, those with challenges, but there are young and old too. And I think there's a place for everybody and a purpose for everybody. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing what that experience has been like for you and how that interaction may have changed the way you saw those interactions before.
Yeah. So when I first met Jeff Baker, when Court, was with General Networks, Jeff was working there, and I knew Jeff from that big deal that I had brought them in. And quite frankly, I was like, he's kind of standoffish, just. And then I was real nervous in the interview because I'm like, I don't think the guy likes me, but I'll interview, So I interviewed, and interview went great. He's very personable. But what I have found is he really does welcome the age difference, because I have experience with people, like with people skills, with, all different types of things that have happened over my lifetime. I mean, it's not like I'm 90, but I am I'm pretty much older than he is, quite a bit. And he's very analytical, he's very smart, he's very IT driven, very but I have to tell you, since I've known him, he's very personable too. Like, and so it's just been great. A lot of people have trouble working for somebody younger. They're like, oh, my young boss, or this woman's older. She's probably slower than maybe someone who's 35 or 40, right? But we haven't had that at all. In fact, he really welcomes that I'm older and maybe not wiser, but like I'll just give you an example. We went on a call together, and I walked out of the call and I said, Jeff, I really need to know more like what you know. He goes, no, I think we need to know more how you are. So that's where we kind of complement each other. And I can't say enough. I think if you're a really young company, you should sprinkle in some older people. And if you're a really old company, you should sprinkle in some young people. Just like diversity, equity, inclusion, sprinkle everybody in, because that's where the juice is. That's where you get to learn from everybody. And you know if we all are looking the same or the same age, and you can't take on anything. You can't take on anything new. So it's fit really well. I was in a class the other night, and I texted him something that I had learned, because I text you once in a while too, Eddie, right? When I, about movie or something about DE&I. So I text him, and he actually wrote yesterday, IM me and said, I took your information and I took it on a personal level. So he takes what I am learning and I'm bringing it to work. He's actually using it, so um, that's where the contribution comes in.
That's really cool. I love hearing those stories. I like watching you interact. You can tell there's a huge amount of respect, not just between the two of you, but amongst your whole team. And
Oh yeah.
you can see that when you work with each other.
Yeah, I really, and then, it's quite great how we all came together, because I was a partner with Jonathan Brown on a few clients when I worked for the SharePoint company. And then, I worked with Jeff on a couple partner group things. And then Jonathan came over to General Networks. And then I came to General Networks. So we all used to partner together, and now we all work together. So that's really the power too of the IMACP, is you just don't know, who you're dealing with or working with. And I love the community, and I love the company I work for now. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I want to say too, I got to tell you the story. You can edit it, but I got to tell you this. So when I was interviewing, I told the president, on my spare time, I do these, I'm a coach and I do this for Landmark. He goes, "Oh, I'm a graduate." I go, "You're a graduate?" He goes, "Yeah." So we had the same listening, and a lot of the people at General Networks, they've taken on the courses too, but I wasn't the cause of that. They had already done it. So it's really a great way to for communication. And you can edit this out too, but I also want to ask down the road if I could do an introduction and tell you about it for your companies, because it will help sales, but it'll just be great, and then you can say no too. I mean, but at least give you access to know what it's about.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hog the conversation, and you just kind of highlighted a little bit about partnering story, and that's kind of a nice segue for Eric, because he usually likes to jump in on that. So Eric, do you want to jump in here?
Sure. Happy to always jump in on the partnering stories. But maybe I had another question before that. You've had a rich and diverse career for a long time. I'm curious, was there ever a situation that it was, just maybe what the most challenging situation that you've dealt with from a career standpoint, and maybe talk about how you handled it then, and would you do anything differently in that situation today?
Let's see. I know, because I have always been, I don't want to say sought after, but I've always been asked, do you want to, in some way, would you think about working here? So I've always, kind of been referred out or whatnot. I'm trying to think through my whole career. I think if I had any regret out of any of it, and I don't know if this is going to answer the question, but the company I left to get married, I should have stayed there, like, and nothing to do with my marriage, but I should have stayed there. And because I know now that if I would have stayed there, I would be retired now. Like, I would have been, I mean, I was at microfilm, and then we went to disc, and then we went to the, the cherry pull picker things, for the bank. I went through all that, and that's when I left. So if I have any regret or any, I should have stayed there, because I would have been retired. I know that. And instead I left and then went into advertising, and then I went, so those things only did me great. I mean, because it's I wasn't pigeonholed into one kind of sale. And one thing I do say with that is that I can be with anyone. I can be with the senior VP, and I can be with the person that just got hired yesterday that's answering phones. I can be with anyone. So my career has kind of allowed me to be that. Did I
Great.
answer your question?
No, but that's okay. That was a good
Okay.
answer. But I have another question. So, think about this one a little bit, and then think about your career, and maybe has there been a best day, a career highlight, and was there a career low light? Was there a worst moment where you thought, gosh, I've got to get through this, but oh my God, this is terrible. I'm just curious, where are those peaks and valleys?
So the peak was when I worked for the SharePoint company and partner, and I got a call from a present client, and he said, and I'll never forget it. He goes, Veronica, come here on Thursday. I'm going to make your day. I'm like, okay. So I take my boss in, we go in, and he has this migration, right, of 2,000 seats, and he needs it done between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm like, we can't get it done. So I call General Networks. We get the process done. They bring in their whole team. They say yes. I go to shake the VP's hand, and he goes, oh no, give me a hug. And he hugs me because I just saved his butt, right? I mean, because he needed it done. But then I said to him, well, where are you going to migrate to? Where are your licenses? He goes, I don't have them yet. I said, how many do you need? He said 900. I'm like, no. I got on the phone. I got the PO that minute. I mean, boom, boom. And Microsoft wasn't happy because the guy on the street knew that was coming down, but I got the purchase order. So that was 900 seats of Office 365. That's a pretty good day. So that was probably my highlight. Low light is when a client says, yeah, here's $100,000 PO. And then something changes internally, and the next day they pull it. That's probably one the low lives that I have. Another could be that they're a client is really upset, like, something goes sideways. Yeah, that's unnerving. But so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you. So let's talk about partnering. Always a favorite topic here on our podcast. So what does partnering mean to you?
Again, it's contribution. It's my contribution to whatever I can bring. I always try to give the olive branch first if I can. Being that I don't have a huge book of business yet, sometimes that's difficult because I don't have things to pull from and say, oh yeah, they don't call me and say, oh, I need dynamics. Oh, well, let me have you talk to Eric. Like I'm generating still. But what I'm really good at, and I've been known and told this, is that when a new partner comes on and I know they're a new partner, I send out like 10 invites of introductions to people that I know that they will benefit from, and the partners that have been in IMACP will benefit from them. And so that I think is my contribution, and to be able to build up the community as it is, and yet bring that member in and know that I'm a contribution to them. And so that's my contribution. That's what I do. And I also partner. I know General Networks is good with that. Jeff has partners I don't even know. Like they've been doing it a long time. But yeah, partnering I do it a lot all day. So I love it.
Have you always been that way, or was there a moment where you realized we're better together, right? That sort of chocolate and peanut butter for those of us of an age remembering the old Reese's commercials, right? Was there a moment where you realized, hey, your chocolate's in my peanut butter, but wow, this is amazing?
Well, in the early 80s, I would partner. I was like the president of the San Diego chapter for AIM, Association for Information Management, or something like that. And so I've always kind of networked. That's something that I just believe in it. As far as the most recent years, say the last 9 years, when I worked for uh, the learning company, Justin, he just started the IMACP not too long before that. And I'm like, what's this association? What is this? And he was gone. And I was the one who picked up the torch and went with it. So the first day that I went to SoCal, I gave my money, and Bill Hole was at the front of the doing his presentation, and he says, anybody want to go north to start a new chapter, let me know. And I'm like, I'm in, because I know starting a new chapter, you just like all of you've become friends. How can you not, So I'm like, I'm in. So I went from Manhattan Beach to Woodland Hills or something. It was a hike, but I did it because I wanted to build something. And we got up to like 50 members at one point in time. And I would say yes, it's always been partnering has always been something that I do.
You mentioned Justin, and his name looms large in this podcast. He's been a guest on here before, but I'm curious, where does Justin fit in Veronica's story?
So he worked at Quick Start. He was one of the guys who really built that company for the learning company. And he was in Irvine, I was in LA, and he was there a short time. I was there a short time, and then he left. But this IMACP, he had these vouchers, the learning vouchers, the SATV vouchers. And if you were a member of the IMACP, if you had a 5-day class, all you had to do was give him 3 vouchers, or he would do certain classes for $100 that were thousands of dollars, right? Because that's Justin. He's just very, very giving. So he leaves. Well, his offer's gone. Guess who gets the book of business? They're like, well, where's this offer? I'm like, sorry, what? So I love Justin. He's always available, as he's really gone through, with Microsoft and what he does. He's very busy, but he's a guy that always has time for you. And even if it's a small customer or even me, like, I know him through I don't have lunch with him. I don't have, it's not a family. I'm not a family friend of his. But if I email him or if I call him, he's available. And if he's not, he gets back to me. So I can't speak enough about him because he makes you feel like you're the only one, he's got that gift.
Yeah, talk about somebody who gives to the community. Yeah, much
Number
love
one.
for Justin.
Yeah, number one at that. Yeah. Yeah.
Veronica, sometimes, although not always, we do a little bit of research. My cheater's methodology is to look at LinkedIn profiles.
Uh-huh.
There was something toward the bottom of your profile that says something about the most positive attitude. Does that
Oh,
sound familiar at all?
yeah. So, is that the banana award?
It may be. I didn't pay too much attention.
Yeah. So, yeah. Justin actually gave that award to me. At the it was I think he was leaving, I think, and going to Microsoft. But yeah, it was the most positive award. Yeah. Yeah, Justin gave me a banana award, and then the next year you give it to someone else, and yeah, the banana award. The funny part when you said that I had to ask because I'd only been working with General Networks for 6 months, and I got the employee most positive award too. So I think it kind of follows me, which is a good thing. I like that.
Good. So I sense a little bit of a pattern there that pretty much anywhere you go, including this discussion, I think you bring along with you that most positive attitude.
Well, it's the people you hang out with. I can't take all the credit.
Okay, cool.
You guys have made me feel very comfortable, and I appreciate that.
Cool. I'm going to play a little trick on you, so I apologize in advance.
Okay.
If I heard correctly, maybe there's a couple of things that maybe are opportunities to overcome. I think you used the word breakthrough.
Yep.
So one of them I wrote down, I guess, scared all the time. So I
Yep.
think I heard those words. Uh, can you think of a specific time where you were brave?
Let's see. Hmm. Yes. I went skydiving. Does that count?
Absolutely.
So my girlfriend, um, several years ago, she has a bucket list, and she said, "Oh, do you have a bucket list?" I said, "No." She goes, "I do. Let's go skydiving." I said, "Okay." So I break out my phone and I said, "Oh, Browns Field, okay, Monday." She goes, "Oh, I have to work." I said, "Well, screw you then. I'm still going." So I went, and let me tell you, that was the most scary, exhilarating. Oh, I've never experienced anything like that ever. And all I could, and I don't cuss much, but there was one word and it begins with an F, all the way down, all the way down. I couldn't stop saying the word. And you're going to have to probably edit this out, but I'm going to tell you guys anyway. So the
Was that
guys,
fun? Were you saying fun all the way
yeah, I
down?
was saying fun. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's it. So he pulls, we're flying, I'm rolling out of this thing. So now I'm saying fun all the way down. And he pulls the thing. So we're floating, and he goes, and now you'll probably have to edit this part. But he goes, "Isn't this better than sex?" And I look at him, I go, "Who have you been with?" "No." And then he yanks the cord and we go flying again. And then fun starts flying out of my face again. And we get down and to the take my stuff off and all that. And he says to his partner, they've done 90 jumps that weekend. And he goes, "She says this isn't as fun as sex or whatever." And the guy, and I said, "I don't know who you guys have been with, but no." And they're laughing, and the people around me are laughing. But skydiving has to be one of the most scary but fun things I've ever done in my life. I want to do it again, but I got to find someone to go with me next time.
Cool. All right. So I apologize. I'm going to play another trick on you.
Okay.
Uh, uh, through conversation with you and Eddie, I sort of picked up on something that relates to confidence.
Yep.
So, or maybe in this case, the lack of confidence. Can you think of a scenario or a specific situation where you were absolutely confident?
When I start, when I'm in front of a client, it's funny what happens to me before I say I'm driving to the client and I'm like, got all that, you're not good enough or whatever that tape is. But once I hit the front door or whatever that is, it's like that goes away and I'm confident. And I'm confident that I'll be able to help them. So, yes, when I hit that front door or whatever, a phone call now with COVID and all, but yeah, when I'm talking to the client or even like on this thing, it's like when I'm out of my own way and I'm just present to people, I'm confident.
Cool. All right. Well, here's a little trick. In situations where you're feeling scared or the scared Veronica is right in front, all you gotta do is think of jumping on the plane.
That's right. There you go. Yeah.
And then the other trick is when you lack confidence, just picture yourself knocking on the front door.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. Yeah, I have to remember that one. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In their your LinkedIn profile, there's something about WIT, Women in Technology.
Yes.
Is that kind of within DEI or is it something separate?
It's separate. I'm actually the Women in Technology lead for San Diego, and it's been kind of dormant. So I took that on, and I'm working on two different projects right now. One is around listening and the power of leadership. We did that a few weeks ago with IMACP San Diego, and then so yeah, I'm the lead for WIT, and I just finished the Athena leadership program today through WIT. So I'm involved. Yeah, it's something else I do. I I just have all these different things I'm in. Just I love people. So
Sometimes we ask ourselves this question, and sometimes we don't answer ourselves very well. But why? Why is that important to you?
um as far as being with people or with WIT.
I was thinking about WIT or DEI.
Okay, so um I I just want to be a contribution. I want to be around powerful women. I want to because as much as I give, I get, and just the energy that association puts out. Uh, Christine, one of the leaders, she's just a powerhouse, yet she does it with kindness, and she's another person that she knows me. I've never been out with her at all, but if she has time for you. If you call her, she's right there. Um, and I think women in technology, there needs to be a group here in San Diego that, because I don't think there is one, and it'd be nice. It's such a different process though than with the IMACP. Um, Women in technology is more, how do women decompress, like how do we show up in the workplace? It's different where the IMACP is it's just a different organizations, they're coming at it differently, but I love both of them. You know, the IMACP is about partnering. It's really partner centric. It's business centric. I've never felt because I'm a woman, I'm not getting something, or I feel like we're all just one. Where WIT for me is, in fact, I said to one of the leaders yesterday, being new, we have to really work on making people feeling comfortable coming in, like really embracing them. And so that's what I want to bring to my chapter, San Diego, is that. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Those are all really good answers. Do you have something that you're passionate outside of WIT, outside of DI, outside of business, something that you're really passionate about?
Yes. I have a 6-year-old grandson that I love to pieces. He acts like he's about 15. But yeah, I'm very passionate about, hanging out with him and my family. And again, the work I do, coaching and all that. Those are the things. I'm not dating really or anything right now. So, I don't really have all that extra stuff going on. So
That's very funny.
just my family.
I was thinking that, well, maybe the podcast might help you out in that area.
Yeah, you never know.
It's very good. All righty. We're pretty close to the end of our time here. We have a couple of questions that we often will ask toward the end of our conversation. One of them is, what does an ideal partnership look like to you?
Well, communication, I think, knowing, having a relationship with the partner, like knowing the partner, how they do business, and the ideal partner for me is like, if I, they always say, like, what do you ask? What's your ask? We do so many things at General Networks. We do, monthly service contracts, we do infrastructure, we do Teams, we do SharePoint. So I say anything, like, just let me know. And if not, I'll send you to another partner. But really, for me, the ideal partner is communication, um, just, and trusting the partner. Um, Eddie knows that I've had, one hiccup, with the partnership, but it's all in how you handle things when they go sideways. When I have no boss say to me, if you have no troubles, you have no business. So, okay. But I think just to be in complete communication with that partner and trust the partner and have them trust you. And I've had a lot of great partnerships. So, yeah. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry, one more bit to edit out. Last question. If listeners are interested in learning more about what you do, how would they contact you?
They can email me at vplace@gennet.com. And on that note, I have to tell you, I forgot. Darn. So General Networks is one company, but we have a couple different divisions. We have Office Office or 065, Compass 065, and then we have now we have GenCare, and you can see on my little backdrop there, it's GenCare, a division of General Networks. And so we've spun off. So if you go to our new website, which is gencarenow.com, it'll only talk to you about our MSP practice, what we do as a division. And you can still, get a hold of me at gennet.com. But so that's new.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, that will do it for this episode of the True Stories in Tech podcast. I'm Brian Inuma, along with Manish Bardia, president of Think AI Consulting, Eddie Bader, CEO of Aegis Innovators, Eric Klaus, Partner Source Solutions. Very special guest, Veronica Place. Thank you for listening to the True Stories in Tech podcast. Please join us next week for more True Stories in Tech.